This may be meant either of a wicked heart showing itself in burning lips, furious, passionate, outrageous words, burning in malice, and persecuting those to whom they are spoken. Ill words and ill will agree as well together as a potsherd and the dross of silver, which now that the pot is broken and the dross separated from the silver, are fit to be thrown together to the dunghill. Or of a wicked heart disguising itself with burning lips, pretending much love, that is, words delivered with a show of truth and fervent affection, or burning with malice or hatred. That is a slanderous or evil tongue, from whence evil thoughts and malicious words proceed. Such a tongue and heart are of no real worth, although sometimes they make a show of it, as dross does of silver, with which one that is weak may be imposed upon, as if it were of some value. But a wise man is soon aware of the cheat. The Message says, smooth talk from an evil heart is like glaze on cracked pottery. And the Passion says, smooth talk or burning words can hide a corrupt heart, just like a pretty glaze covers a cheap clay pot. A smooth talker is someone who has a very rare ability to say all the right things at the right time. Even when a situation is not in their favor, by the end of the night, their uncanny ability with words has turned an unfavorable situation into an advantage. They are charming and possess all the people skills, then some. They can talk their way out of or into anything they want. They get another person to do their bidding by using a slick, gently persuasive, practiced, or competent manner. They use charming or flattering language to persuade someone to do something. Oh, I just wrote this on here. In the natural realm, I wrote, this reminds me of a car salesman or any salesperson trying to smooth talk their way to a sale. Then you end up with a lemon because everything said was just too good to be true. And then I said, there's nothing wrong with using a sales pitch to make a sale as long as you're honest with the buyers.
One thing about the coating of glaze on the earthenware, I don't think the glaze is put on as the finished product. It's put on and then it's baked on.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
what they're comparing, the coating of glaze over earthenware, is something that's baked onto the finished product. It's not easy to get off without damaging the product. And so it is with fervent lips of an evil heart. They're just hard people.
What's that? Verse 24. A malicious man disguises himself with his lips, but in his heart he harbors deceit. And I said, wrote, he that bears a grudge in his mind and retains hatred in his heart against any person hides it all he can, till he has an opportunity of showing it as he would. He pretends a great deal of friendship with his lips, that his hatred might not be known. He would be thought to be a friend when he is really an enemy. He does not choose as yet to make himself known what he is. Some render it to a sense the reverse, the enemy, or he that hateth is known by his lips. If you carefully watch him, mark his words, and observe what he says, you will find out the hatred that lies in his heart. He cannot forbear saying something at one time or another, which betrays the malignity of his mind. I wrote here, for example, burning lips. Lips glowing with affection, uttering warm words of love, joined with a malignant heart, are like a piece of broken earthenware from the furnace, which glitters with the silver drops as stick to it, but is itself worthless. Let's see. I put, retaining hatred in your heart only turns to bitterness. When you hold bitterness, you're in bondage. You cannot move forward spiritually. You can pretend to, but you can't. Always distrust when a man speaks fair unless you know him well. Satan, in his temptations, speaks fair, as he did Eve, but it is madness to give credit to him.
Yep.
Some cross-reference scriptures are Psalms 41:16. And when he comes to see me, he speaks falsehood. His heart gathers wickedness to itself. When he goes outside, he tells it. Proverbs 10:18. He who conceals hatred has lying lips, and he who spreads slander is a fool. Proverbs 12:20. Deceit is in the heart of those who devise evil, but counselors of peace have joy. Proverbs 23:7. For as he thinks within himself, so he is. He says to you, eat and drink, but his heart is not with you. Jeremiah 9:4. Let everyone be on guard against his neighbor, and do not trust any brother, because every brother deals craftily, and every neighbor goes about as a slanderer. In the New Living Translation, it says, people may cover their hatred with pleasant words, but they're deceiving you. People are nice and sweet to your face, but talk bad about you behind your back. And that's all I have for, yeah. That's all I have for verse 24. If anybody has anything to add to that, I'll move on. Verse 24 is similar. Verse 25 is similar to 24. It says in the NIV, though their speech is charming, do not believe them, for 7 abominations fill their hearts. Now the first part of this verse is through their speech, though their speech is charming, do not believe them. Gives good words, flatters with his lips, pretends great kindness and favor, expresses himself in a very gracious and amiable manner in order to gain attention and respect, or when he delivers himself in a submissive and suppliant way with great humility and deference, or in a mournful and pitiful strain, as if he had the most tender affection and concern. Be not too credulous. Do not suffer yourselves to be imposed upon by him. Be upon your guard. Distrust him. Suspect a snake in the grass. The second part says, for 7 abominations fill their hearts. A multitude of wicked purposes, schemes, and designs, which he has formed there against you, and which he only waits a proper time to put in execution. Things abominable to God and men. These are the 7 abominations. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that run rapidly to evil, a false witness who utters lies, and one who spreads strife among brothers. Here, 7 retains its significance as the symbol of completeness. Evil has gone through all its work and holds its accursed Sabbath in the heart in which all things are very evil. Psalm 28:3 says, Do not drag me away with the wicked and with those who work iniquity, who speak peace with their neighbors, while evil is in their hearts. Jeremiah 9:4. Their tongue is a deadly arrow. It speaks deceit. With his mouth one speaks peace to his neighbor, but inwardly he sets an ambush for him. Jeremiah 12:6. For even your brothers and the household of your father, even they have dealt treacherously with you. Even they have cried aloud after you. Do not believe them, although they may say nice things to you. Oh, I might be done today. Proverbs 26. Your enemy shakes hands and greets you like an old friend, all the while conniving against you. When he speaks warmly to you, don't believe him for a minute. He's just waiting for the chance to rip you off. No matter how cunningly he conceals his malice, eventually his evil will be exposed in public. Here, the hater's real wickedness at some time or another, in spite of all his efforts to hide it, will be openly displayed. He will show it before some third party, and thus it will be divulged. At any rate, this will be the case at the judgment day, when he who hateth his brother shall be shown to be not only a murderer, but a hater of God also. His wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation in an open court, where he shall be brought arraigned and tried for his wickedness, which though covertly done shall be exposed and proved upon him before the church of God, where he shall be convicted by the word and be obliged to acknowledge his sin, and in a member be reproved before all and rejected, or however at the great day of judgment. For the word wickedness in this one, the hater's real wickedness, it's the quality or state of being wicked, departure from the rules of the divine or the moral law, immorality, sinfulness, immorality and sinfulness. In the Old Testament, it means a mental disregard for justice, righteousness, truth, honor, virtue, evil in thought and life, depravity, criminality. Wickedness, like all forms and thoughts of wrong, kept warm in mind, seems to be a thing of growth. It begins with a thought, then a deed, then a character, and finally a destiny. Even in this life, men increase in wickedness till they have lost all desire for that which is good in the sight of God and good men. The men in the vision of Isaiah seem to be in a condition beyond which the human heart cannot go. In Isaiah 5:20, it says, "Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness."
Sounds like politics.
Yep, I just wrote, that's happening right now in our nation. So whether this team of wickedness comes out of the Old Testament, it's here now in the New. And in the New Testament, it says, wickedness, malignity, evil in thought and purpose is presented by the word, paneria. I think that's how you say it. And in Matthew 22:18, it says, "But Jesus perceived their wickedness and said, Why make ye trial of me, ye hypocrites?" And Jesus points out the origin of all wrong in Mark 7:21 through 23 by saying, "For from within, out of the heart of men, evil thoughts proceed. Wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, and all these evil things proceed from within and defile the man." Cross scriptures are Matthew 23:28. "In the same way, you appear to be righteous on the outside, but on the inside you are full of hypocrisy and wickedness." Luke 8:17, "For there is nothing hidden that will not be revealed, and nothing concealed that will not be known and illuminated. Proverbs 10:9. He who walks in integrity walks securely, but he who perverts his ways will be found out. Oh, I'm moving on. Proverbs 26:27. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them. This is a metaphor from hunters who used to dig deep pits and then cover them slightly with earth, that wild beasts passing that way may fall into them, and sometimes in the heat of pursuit fell into them themselves. He that rolls a stone, it will return upon him. That rolls a stone uphill, if he does not take care, it will return back and fall with great force upon himself. So the mischief which a wicked man labors hard at, as men do in digging a pit or rolling a stone, in time rolls back upon themselves. The measure they mete out to others is measured to them. In Judges 9:18, it gives us an illustration of the passage by the case of Abimelech, who slew 70 persons on one stone, and was himself killed with a piece of a millstone cast upon him. Psalm 141:10. Let the wicked fall into their own nets while I pass by safely. Psalm 9:15. The nations have sunk down in the pit which they have made. In the net which they hid, their own foot has been caught. Job 4:8. According to what I have seen, those who plow iniquity and those who sow trouble harvest it. Psalm 57:6. They have prepared a net for my steps. My soul is bowed down. They dug a pit before me. They themselves have fallen into the midst of it. Ecclesiastes 10:8. He who digs a pit may fall into it, and a serpent may bite him who breaks through a wall. Esther 7:10. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Yep.
You know, I was thinking when I looked out at this verse, and we in our lifetime, we've probably known lots of people who lived basically their whole life doing wicked things. And taking advantage, whatever, and thinking they were getting away with it. But you know what? They die.
Yep.
And they step into their eternity. And there's a pit for people like that. You know what's amazing to me? It's called the bottomless pit. Can you imagine falling into something and you never land? It's that, you know, we used to joke and say, you know, we'd be working on top of a powerhouse and they'd say, oh, don't worry about the fall. The fall is exciting. It's the sudden stop that gets you. But the issue is, can you imagine just falling and falling and falling and falling and never coming to a stop? Yeah. So the pit that you dig in life, if you're always trying to get the advantage over the other guy, you're digging your own pit.
Fell off a ladder one time, and I remember thinking to myself, where the heck is the ground?
Yeah. Yep, I know. I did too. 10 feet. Yeah. All right. I'm on the last verse. So, and I don't know, we're going to have a lot of time left over here. So if anybody has stuff to say, come on. All right, verse 28. A lying tongue hates those that are afflicted by it, and a flattering mouth works ruin. The first part of this verse says, as the remembrance of them calls up his own wickedness to the mind of the offender. This is one reason why the carnal mind is enmity against God, as being conscious of having rejected God's love, and so hating to be reminded of him. It is common for men to hate those to whom they have done evil. It is natural to man to hate one whom he hath injured, and this aversion is always strong in proportion to the greatness and injustice of the wrong which has been done. He hates those that are troubled at and disturbed with his lies, or the contrite and humble men. A flattering mouth works ruin. Though it be more smooth and plausible than a slandering mouth, yet it is in the truth, no less pernicious, betraying others either to sin or to danger and calamity. It makes an impulse, a pushing, a driving away. It drives away such as cannot bear its flatteries, and pushes such that are taken with it, both into sin and into ruin. It brings destruction on those who succumb to its seductive words. There are two sorts of lies equally detestable: a slandering lie, the mischief of this everybody sees; a flattering lie, which secretly works ruin. A wise man will be more afraid of a flatterer than of a slanderer. And I have 3 scriptures left, and then I'm done. Psalm 12:3. May the Lord cut off all flattering lips, the tongue that speaks great things. Psalm 55:21. His speech was smoother than butter, but his heart was war. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. And Proverbs 29:5. A man who flatters his neighbor is spreading a net for his steps. And then I wrote here, so summarizing this verse would be that a lying tongue baits the ways of truth, for nothing is more contrary to a lie than truth.
Yeah. The lying tongue hates those it hurts.
Oh, I have.
If you love somebody, you'll tell them the truth all the time. I got a comment.
You have to go back and read the first word.
The first verse?
Yes.
Which one? Which one? Oh. Oh my gosh. All my notes are home. Hold on. 26:1. Like snow in summer or rain in harvest, honor is not fitting for a fool.
I think maybe if we take a look at it, this whole proverb, this is the title of it, has to do with the fool. We all know the aspects of the fool. The fool says no to God. And that doesn't mean he can't be a Christian. It means he can be.
Yeah.
But every time God's trying to get him to do something, he's got his mind set on himself.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. But what I want, how I want it, when I want it, it's all about me and my. And when you go all the way down through, you find out that it's the fool, the sluggard.
Yeah.
You find a whole pathway. And the end result of the whole thing, he's going to end up in the pit.
Yep.
And we find over and over and over again, you say, oh, that don't happen today. Oh, yeah, it does. Oh, yeah, it does. And it happens in the church just as much as it happens out there. Because whatever jealousy, we find the word, one of those words in there means jealousy. It's just constant. It's constant. Because man never wants to be identified with the cross. Jesus said, take up your cross and follow me. The minute you take up your cross, you begin to realize that everything you're doing in life takes you all the way back to the foot of his cross.
Yeah.
And it's the end of self. It's the end of the self-rule. The bottom line is, I've heard this all my life. When I get to heaven, it's all about I get to heaven. God isn't building big eyes. What God is building is a corporate company where people sacrifice their way for the other guy. The whole picture of the Godhead is the picture of one serving the other. Take a look at it. I know it isn't exciting, and it doesn't fit into our modern culture. But that's the bottom line. At the end of life, this life,
Yeah. When I was
and
reading
we
that.
don't like to think that deep because, oh God, that's just, what in the world do you think we're here for? We're here
Yeah.
to please him, not us.
When I was reading that about the pit, digging the pit, sometimes I say that if I see something not right, I say, well, they're just digging their own pit. So, I mean, that's where that saying came from, right?
Amen.
I'm done.